everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday night Great Players of the Past. And it's February 25th. This is the Chess Club and Scholastic Center of Atlanta. Your favorite chess center in Atlanta. Right? You're like, yeah, I guess. They had to think about it. Today's subject is Yasser Seirawan, your favorite player, because like one of you heard of him, and the other five are like, who's that? Now, usually, not always, the person that I lecture about is no longer alive. I can't make that joke. Darn. Anyway, you know a joke I wanted to make at home, but I'm not going to make that joke. I'm going to take the high road. Don't I always do that? No. Okay, now Yasser, as you all know, was the United States champion 4 times, and he played for our Olympic team many times, and he's the world junior champion before you were born. Way before you were born.
Wait.
Way before you, well, maybe not him, but maybe. Yeah. Okay, Yasser's in his mid-50s and or late 50s, whichever one's funnier. Depends when Karen uploads the video. Oh, snap. Anybody? No? That's a good one. Okay, now the best part of the lecture usually is I show the games, and the games are really good, but the best part of this lecture is going to be me showing pictures of Yasser from the last 40 years. Okay? Now look at this guy here. Okay, this is taken a few years ago, maybe like 4 years ago, this picture. When he was a kid, everybody thought he was a girl. Okay, then when he was an adult, they stopped thinking that. Okay, thinking wasn't their strong suit. Okay, Yasser was born in Syria, a country you never heard of. Now, there's something bad about being born in Syria. You know what that is?
No.
Okay, when you're a professional chess player like he is, he travels all over the world. When you travel all over the world, they look at your passport, right? And on his passport it says born in Syria. Yeah, he doesn't like that it says that. So he always gets randomly selected. We talked about it. And his wife never gets randomly selected because she's Dutch.
And blonde.
And blonde, and he's, born in Syria. So they're like, sir, when's the last time you were in Syria? And he's like, when I was 3 months old. He was born in Syria because that's where his parents lived, and they moved to England when he was a little baby. Then they moved to Seattle when he was a little kid. So he spent his whole life in Seattle. But then he married a Dutch woman, very similar to the story of me and Karen. You could ask Yasser, why do you live in the Netherlands? He married a Dutch woman, okay? And you have to either live in Seattle or the Netherlands, so you live in the Netherlands. Right? That's a no-brainer, right? The Netherlands is your favorite country because you heard of it.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
You heard of the Netherlands?
I've heard of it.
I don't believe either one of you. Other people call it Holland. You ever heard of Holland?
Yeah. No.
That's the same country as the Netherlands. The kids don't believe me, but he never heard of Holland, so he's like, all right. Okay, so he lives in the Netherlands. He doesn't play chess anymore, because what school did he go to? Old school. Okay, when you get older, you're like, I don't want to play anymore, I'll just lecture. So what he does is he does live commentary. When they have grandmaster tournaments, you can watch them live on the internet, and he does commentary. He says that guy's losing and that guy's winning, and it's the same guy. Hard to understand. Okay, so here's Yasser over the years. Okay, see here? You see there? Okay, that's a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
The village people.
Okay, sometimes he has a mustache, right? Okay, and sometimes he's like that. Okay, that's because he used to be younger. That's 1977. You never heard of 1977, but he was alive then. Okay, then, remember when I told you people thought he was a girl, and you're like, why'd they think that? That's why they thought that. See? He had a lot of hair.
He doesn't
Yeah. No, it's very suspicious. So Yasser's look has changed over the years. Now there's a magazine you've never heard of unless you're you, called Cosmopolitan. Okay, and he was Bachelor of the Year many years ago, and he claimed he got 2,000 marriage proposals in the mail. Okay, and then just like any good German player, he said 9. Now, I was actually at this chess tournament. I actually might have been sitting there. That's a famous actor you've never heard of, except you and you. You know who that is?
He played Columbo, but I don't know.
That's right, he played Columbo. Peter Falk. Right, and he was a chess player. He was probably about 1900. And he would go to chess tournaments in California because he lived in California. And that was the 83 US Open, which I played in, and Yasser tied for first. Okay, and he was there watching. Yeah. He's a famous actor you never heard of. But if you were alive 50 years ago, you would have heard of him. He was on a police show, and then he would always figure out who, but he had to wait for the hour to be up. If he figured out the beginning, there wouldn't be a TV show. He'd always go, for an hour. Aha, you did, and the show would end. Also, you knew who did at the beginning, but he didn't. It's very suspicious. Okay, then we got more Yasser. Everything G-rated somehow. I already looked at it. Look at that. See Yasser there? Yasser used to be a kid. Now, a friend of mine, Fred Lindsay, he went to the US Open before you were all born, and Yasser was there. Yasser was like 12 or 13, and Yasser was winning all of his games. And Fred was like, people were like, man, that girl's great. And then Fred's like, that's not a girl. So anyway, go Yasser. Okay, and now Yasser looks like that. See, that's what happens. Okay, now there's a Wikipedia article on Yasser, because he's a good player, born in Syria, and now not only did he play a lot at chess, which I've just told you, he was the US champion 4 times, he played Olympic teams, whatever. But also he wrote all these books. His books actually sell a lot of copies. People like his books. Probably you can buy some here. Look at all these books he wrote. That's more books than you guys wrote, right? Yeah. So he writes chess books, he does commentary, he plays chess, also etc. Now, there's a line here which I like. Only I like this line. See the line that I highlighted?
Yeah.
In 2011, okay, he returned to the ring and he decided to play chess again. He hadn't played chess in a while. And they had the World Team Championship in your favorite country, China. Okay? And this was in 2011, and I was one of the coaches. They said, you don't play very well, why don't you be a coach? And I said, okay. And one of the guys I coached, the main guy I coached, was Yasser. And Yasser said, what's a computer? Okay? Man, I'm almost not kidding. Close. So I prepared Yasser for his games, and Yasser beat Judah Polgar and Shakhriyar Mamedyarov. How do you know Shakhriyar Mamedyarov is a good player? You.
I saw him play in the St. Field Cup.
Well, that's a good answer. The correct answer, however, was, because your answer is not funny, the correct answer is you can't spell or pronounce his name. Okay? Now, nobody has ever beaten Shakhriyar Mamedyarov except Yasser and me. Right. I beat him in the Pro Chess League. Bam. Okay, very suspicious. Okay, so Yasser actually won a medal, which they don't mention. He won, I think, the silver for like first alternate. Yeah, he only lost 1 game. I think he won 3 or 4. And it's a world championship, and he's like 170 years old.
What?
Yeah, well, maybe he's older. Okay, so that's Yasser Seirawan. Now, I picked some games I didn't know because I figured that would be good. I learned something too. And Yasser's known for very slow, boring positional chess, and Yasser likes to take all of your material, and he doesn't think you're going to checkmate him. So a lot of grandmasters don't want to get checkmated. Yasser's like, he won't checkmate me. I'll just run my king up the board. Okay, and then Yasser wins. And then people are like, what? How do you do that? Okay, then when Yasser got old, that wasn't a good strategy. Okay, this game was played in 1990 against his good friend Jan Timman. Jan Timman is from the Netherlands, and that's where Yasser lives now. In 1990, I don't think Yasser lived in the Netherlands yet. Not yet. I lived in Europe. I don't think Yasser did. Okay, Yasser has the white pieces. He's the guy we're talking about. If you ever want to know what color the guy I'm talking about is, it's almost always at the bottom. Otherwise, I messed up. So if Yasser was black, I would flip the board, and black would be on the bottom, right? No, nothing. Okay. Now, Jan Timman is a famous grandmaster you've never heard of. I could have done, maybe I did one of these. Have you heard of him?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
It is
Have they heard of him?
The king walk with Short.
That's correct. Short's the one who did the king walk, and Timman's the one who resigned. Yeah, exactly.
See?
Yeah. Now, I'll tell you a funny story about Timman. There's a world chess champion. Most people think he was the weakest of all the world chess champions. Sort of an oxymoron. His name was Max Erva. Okay, if I pronounced it correctly, you would all pass out. Okay, also his first name wasn't Max. That was short for Maxilgus. Okay. Anyway, his last name is spelled E-U-W-E, just like most of your friends. Now, why is how do you know he's a great player? Can't spell or pronounce his name. Right. Anyway, he was Dutch and he was a world champion. He's the only Dutch world champion. Now, when I lived in Belgium, I had friends. Not now, but then I did. And they were playing Trivial Pursuit in Dutch. And one of the questions was, who's the greatest Dutch chess player of all time? So they were like, well, Max Erva, he was the world champion. And then they turned over and it said Jan Timman. So the people who made Trivial Pursuit in the Netherlands, they thought this guy was better than the world champion from 70 years ago. The truth hurts. 50 years ago? Okay, so Yasser's white. Now Yasser must watch my stream even though it was 1990, because he does something I recommend on my stream. Okay, now Yasser likes to play his own openings. So in this position, Yasser plays a move nobody plays. If I was white, I would play Queen C2, because that's what I do. But Yasser played Queen B3, threatening the bishop because I said so.
That's what I would do.
Right, then he protected the bishop. He played A3, and he kept the pin on the knight. Then he pinned his knight. I pin you, you pin me. Okay, and then Yasser castled queenside, and now it's not pinned anymore. And now the craziest thing you ever saw happened. After Timman took the knight, the reason he took the knight, if the knight moves away, then the bishop is trapped on A5. So he just took. Now, you want to have a trick question? Do you like trick questions?
Yeah.
Okay. Did Yasser take with the pawn or the queen?
Pawn.
You. Neither. That's why it's a trick question, right?
Yeah. I took an F6.
No, you didn't do that either.
That's what else.
He didn't take the bishop and didn't take the knight.
I think I know.
Can I make a large weight? Oh, you.
D5.
To check his temperature.
Queen E5.
No, he's right. You believe that? Say no.
No.
Right. Yeah, he's right. D5. Yeah, very good. Okay, confusing the audience. Now, Yasser's threatening the knight and threatening the bishop, and then this rook and queen are lined up. Yasser liked to play very unusual chess, like this, confusing the audience. Okay, Timman took, Yasser took, and he saved his bishop. The engine doesn't like that move. Takes. Most of you guys would take this pawn and then lose your queen. Most of you. That's why I don't do lectures on you guys. Timman played Queen E7, unpinning and defending his bishop. Okay, takes, takes. Okay, now this is actually quite funny. Yasser played the very simple E3. And most people would be like, all right, I guess I'll castle. But you can't castle. See, this bishop is protected 3 times. That seems like a lot. Right? But if you castle, now it's protected twice. Now after I trade, it's protected once. And now after I take, it's protected 0 times. And you lose your bishop. Okay? So you can't castle. You'd like to castle, but you need to... Okay, so Timman played rook d8 defending his bishop. You with some crazy question.
Well, I thought he was going to play castle longside. Queenside.
He could castle alongside, but his king is a little bit exposed here. Bishop a6 check. Yeah. Okay, he played rook d8. Okay, and now, if you watch my stream on the internet every night, you'll know what move Yasser made here.
I do.
You?
Rook takes d7.
Karen's always sacking pieces. That's all she ever does. Okay, very one-dimensional player. Right, always sack the exchange. Now, black has a problem. King takes looks insane. Knight takes loses the queen. Right?
But what about queen takes?
Queen takes also loses the queen because of bishop b5. Then you lose your queen. So what did Timman do? rook takes. The only move I didn't say. Right. Okay. Then bishop b5 pinning the rook. Now remember, Timman didn't castle earlier because d7 wasn't protected enough. It's the same thing. If you castle, which he didn't do, I just take everything. And d7's not protected. Aw. Aw. And black has no pieces. You guys know what that's like. Okay, so Timman played bishop d6. He said, no, you're not going to take my bishop. No. And Yasser played rook d1. Finally, he castled. Takes. Bishop f4, attacking the pinned piece. The bishop can't take the bishop because you take your queen. We have to protect this bishop. Now, instead of protecting the bishop, Timman also must have watched my stream in 1990. So what move would I recommend for black on my stream? You have to watch my stream to know. You.
Bishop e8.
What? You didn't watch my stream enough. Bishop b8, hanging the queen. No.
Bishop captures f4.
What's that thing with my stream? I'll give you a hint.
Oh,
You. c4. c4 is explosive. Man, tough crowd. Okay, so Timman's like, could you take my pawn so I can pin your queen to your king? And Yasser's like, they won't do a lecture about me if I do that. So he didn't do that. So he played queen c2. And now there's only one way to defend the bishop. If you watch my stream, you'll know. Always retreat. You.
98.
98, right? Black's position looks good except for one thing. Doesn't look good. Okay? Knight g5, threatening checkmate. Queen h7 mate. How do you stop queen h7 mate? You.
G6.
G6. Now he did not play g6, but if he did, then we play knight e4, threatening the bishop again, and you can't defend it. So he stopped knight e4 and he stopped mate. That's why he's the greatest Dutch player of all time. You.
I think it's f5.
Man, you're like a clock. You're right twice in one day. I mean, a broken clock. I messed the joke up. Can you edit that? All right, f5. Unfortunately, that opens up his king. Queen takes c4 check. King h8. Bishop takes. Knight takes. Queen d5. Got to defend that knight. Right? Okay, now, if you want to be tricky and blunder, like Archer's about to do, Archer will suggest the blunder. Queen takes d6, missing queen c8 check. Okay, queen takes d6 looks good, but after queen c8 check, it doesn't look as good because your queen's hanging, your king's hanging. So Yasser played knight e6. If you watch my stream, what move does the engine recommend for white here better than Yasser's move? If you watch my stream, you know. Always play. I guess they don't watch my stream. King b1. Remember when we play Archer's brilliant tactic, it doesn't work to queen c8 check? After king b1, there is no queen c8 check. So now your tactic's going to work next move. Okay? So he played knight e6, which also wins. Check. Always play king b1. Here. Now it's Archer's time to shine. This position was made for Archer. Archer raised his hand because it was made for him. Queen takes d6. That's what your mom would play. Recommended by a person I like to call your mom. Yeah. And then black resigned. Let's pretend he didn't resign. We take the queen. Yasser takes the queen with unstoppable rook d8 check. And then black's not doing well. Right?
The only move we could do is queen captures e6. Unless he does.
Well, yeah, probably resigning's good. Yeah. When the guy's rated 2,600 and he has a knight, you have nothing. That's bad. Okay, so that was one of Yasser's great games. He castled queenside, his opponent castled kingside, then he gave him the sugar me do. Okay, then they had to rewrite the Trivial Pursuit after that game. Okay, confusing the audience. All right, the next game was also played in the Netherlands. How do I flip the board? That's how. Okay, this is a very strange game. Yasser played some strange games. Don't play like this.
Why?
Well, I'll show you why. Okay,
Why?
Yasser liked to play hyper-modern chess because you guys don't know what that means. Don't do that. Okay, when you were taught chess by your chess coach, they said play in the center and get your knights out and get your bishops out and castle. And then Yasser said, watch what I do. Okay, it's the opposite day. Okay, Yasser confused his opponent. So Yasser played g6, fianchettoing his bishop, something you've never heard of. Okay, now, in this position, white played a move that I played. It's called the Chinese attack because in the 1970s, it was the first time a Chinese player beat a grandmaster. He played Matt Larson recommended move here for white. What?
G4.
G4. Yes. Bam. Okay, and that's what I play with white, although don't play that. Okay, Yasser played c6. The guy attacked his knight. Yasser saw it. Pretty good. And they played on opposite sides of the board. Now, if I had a chess student and they played this move, I would be very upset. Luckily, Yasser's not my chess student, so I didn't care. Also, it was 1980, so I really didn't care.
It's like a dragon.
It's like a dragon because black fianchettoed his bishop. That's the only way it's like a dragon.
And
And?
pushing on the king side and black pushing.
I've never seen anything look less like a dragon. The only thing that looks less like a dragon is the movie How to Train Your Dragon 2. One looks more like a dragon. Okay, now whatever you do, don't play this move at home. Don't do it. You!
F6.
Ooh, that's a good answer. Right. No, but this move, F6 some people would play because the pawns attack each other. This move don't play. You!
You can't turn the thing on so I can see the last move?
It is on.
Oh, why can't you see it? Okay.
I don't know, I did something.
Oh, it went away.
You with the wrong answer.
B4.
What's wrong with that? Rook G8. Yeah, don't do that.
I was suggesting.
Okay, now when I told Spencer, Yasser played Rook G8, he instantly said, I guess after H6, he wanted to play Bishop H8, keeping his bishop on the diagonal. I was like, all right. All right. Okay, so he traded the H file, and then B4 as recommended, always retreat. Okay, game makes no sense. Good. Okay, C4 explosive. All right, if you guess the next move, your rating is going to go down. Unfortunately, Karen makes these kind of moves a lot.
I do?
Yeah, because in the French defense, you're always getting mated and you run away. Yeah. Yeah, you do stuff like this. Sometimes you win, too. You with the wrong answer.
Knight takes C4.
Very good, that was the wrong answer. Knight takes C4, giving your knight away. What are you, the Red Hot Chili Peppers? You didn't get that joke, stop laughing.
Can you just give us a hint? The king's running away?
What would you do?
I wouldn't go king d7.
King D7, that's what Yasser did.
Walking off the bishop.
So Yasser said the queen side is closed because the queen side is closed.
Yeah.
So if my king is over there, it's really safe. Usually, when you want to put your king on one side of the board, you castle. That seems really hard to do. You got every piece in the way, right? He's just like, yeah, whatever, I'll just go over there. Okay, now, confusing the audience more than I've ever confused them ever, or ever will. This move makes a battery.
Oh, yeah.
They weren't confused at all. You,
Is it
the queen and rook have a battery on the back rank, which Yasser puts to good use. Rook h8. He's like, I'm going to play queen h8 and I'm going to infiltrate. And the guy's like, no, you're not. And he's like, yeah, I am. Bam. Queen h8. Put it in h. That's hyper-modern chess. Black's king is very safe. That side of the board will never get open. The other side of the board, where white was doing this, g4, h, now black controls that side of the board. That's why he's great player of the past, and you're some kid falling out of their chair. That applies to two of the kids right now. Okay. Knight f1, always retreat. Okay. Trade some pieces. Takes with a queen. That way he can play queen h8 again. Yay. Queen h8 again. Good job. Always play queen h8. Okay, he pins the rook. Look at this. Everything's pinned. Okay, it's pandemonium. So now if white doesn't do anything, his other rook's going to come, and then the queen. So white has to open up black's king. It looks illegal. Okay, but he does anyway. Okay, he plays e5, tries to open up the king. Man, that rook on f2 is pinned, right? And after it takes, Yasser says, excuse me while I run away to safety. And the guy said, no talking. Man, look how pinned this is, right? You see how pinned it is? Look how safe that king is. Pretty safe. Bishop d3, defending his rook. Rook e1 check. The truth hurts.
Don't say bad for me.
Now he resigned because you can't move. Somebody on the internet was pretty funny. Okay? They analyzed this position, and they analyzed a move you wouldn't play. Then the response was another move you wouldn't play. They said, let's analyze king d2. And they said everybody in the world would take the rook with check, like me. But there's a better move than taking a rook with check. You!
Is it like
Queen g5, so the white king can't escape.
Just queen h6 also?
Yeah. And then it's super checkmate. Your king can't get anywhere. Right? Conversely, black's king's pretty safe. King d7, king c7, recommended by the rappers who said, get out the way, move, right? Even though it's 1980. So he moved his king out of the way, then he took all his pieces on the first row and controlled the h-file, then his king ran to safety. So in this position, the only move that makes any sense is bishop e2, right? And now we have a very funny situation. These three pieces are pinned. That's unusual. So if you were Indian, you would say white can't do Vishwa nothing, right? And in 1980, Anand was Vishwa nothing. He's probably 2,000 strength. 1980? Yeah. In 1980 he wasn't, and he's not now, and he almost probably never was. You!
What was black's move here? I'll play rook takes f1.
Rook takes f1. Bishop takes f1 is illegal, but still best based on my stream. Rook takes f1 is illegal, right? King takes f1, checkmate.
So it's like king d2.
Yeah, but king d2, I've never seen so many hanging rooks. It's the hanging rook. What? What's happening? Okay, so he played the best move after rook e8 check. Resigns. Yeah. And that's why you never heard of that guy.
Because he's
If the guy was winning all of his games, I'd be lecturing on him, but he's a grandmaster. Okay. Man, Yasser was good. Remember? Great players of the past. Okay, last game, Yasser's white. He's playing Kuligowski, another grandmaster you never heard of. Hey, why are you guys behaving bad in the class? Yeah. Okay, no, look up here. Don't look at other people. Okay, if you can call them people. All right, last game. Yasser's white. He plays c4. Now, Yasser likes to play hyper-modern chess, which you guys don't understand or know what it is or have heard of it. Okay, and I told at the beginning of the lecture, a lot of hyper-modern players fianchetto their bishops, and their bishops crisscross the center, unlike the terrible rap group Crisscross. Okay, let's ask a random person, Karen. Crisscross?
I've heard crisscross.
Terrible. Yeah. Man, I can't make any of the jokes I want to make right now. but they are Michael Jackson related. Okay, he hung out with them. So watch it. After many therapy sessions, they're fine. Now, C4, that's not exactly the center, but it controls the center from the flank, right? So Yasser likes to play C4 and bishop G2 and control the center from the side of the board, okay, as you see he will do. Okay, and in this game, they played a theoretical line you've never seen before. After knight D3 check, black wants to get what else? 2 bishops. So after bishop takes knight, queen takes bishop, black has 2 bishops. Remember I told you before the lecture and during the lecture, Yasser will run his king around and be like, whatever, so he just moves his king. And the guy's like, I'll check you again. He moves his king again. So these are the kinds of positions my dad would have said, both sides stand badly. In chess, you want to make good moves, and your opponent wants to make good moves, right? But let's say you could make your opponent make a bad move, but you have to make a bad move, and you're like, which move is worse? And you're confused. So you could argue, well, when I was taught chess, we were taught not to move our king every move. We were taught to castle. So I don't like what white's doing. Well, black played knight f6, knight d5, knight b4, knight d3, knight f4. Who taught you to do that?
Nobody.
Yeah, so both sides are playing wrong, and Yasser's like, well, he's playing more wrong. I've moved 3 pieces, and he moved 1. And black says, you're playing more wrong, because you're moving your king, and I can still castle. That's why chess is interesting.
Well, white made 2 moves.
What?
Black made 5 moves.
Did Yasser castle the last game? Did his opponent castle the last game? No. So Yasser's confusing the audience. All right, knight e6, moving his knight again. The reason is white wants to play d4. Notice the discovered attack on black's knight. Also notice d4 is pretty well protected by white. And black's like, no, you're not going to play d4. No. Also, don't take my knight. And Yasser played b4, sacrificing a pawn because Yasser wants to play d4. And Yasser said, could this pawn get out of the way so I can play d4? And the guy said, no talking. So Yasser played b4. If those pawns disappear, Yasser can play d4. So the guy's like, free pawn, yummy, yummy. And Yasser plays knight d5. Now Yasser can play d4. That looks good. Or he can win his pawn back, depending on what black does. Black played g6. Yasser attacked the rook. They traded bishops. And Yasser got his pawn back. Still, Yasser has 3 pieces out to 1. 3 is more than 1. Black's development, very suspicious. If somebody walks in the room right now, and I said, excuse me, person who walked into the room, how did this knight get here? Their chances are less than 0% of getting it right. Because they're going to say, I don't know, I guess he played knight f6, knight h5, and took. And I'll be like, nah, played here, 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 and he wouldn't believe me. He'd be like, you didn't do that, come on. You kidding me? So Yasser's moving his king a lot, but Yasser's opponent's moving his knight a lot. And conversely, white's actually moving his pieces. And white has domination of the center. This is the 4 center squares because I said so. White dominates those squares. Black can't do Vishwa nothing. Bam, d4. Go Yasser. Okay, playing the side, very suspicious.
Go nothing.
Okay, put it in H. And white has the center, and black has no center. Aw, poor black, no center. Okay, and they just played a lot of, moves that, chess moves. Pretty good.
PP mode.
Reasonable moves. And Yasser snatches a pawn. Yasser is good at counting. 1, 2, 3, and then 1 and 2. So Yasser takes the pawn. Rook c8 attacking the bishop. The bishop's defending the knight. Bishop moves away. And white's up a pawn. Hooray for white. Now Yasser plays queen d2, confusing the audience. Okay, and whenever I give a chess lecture, I say this almost every lecture. You'd like to checkmate your opponent. Your opponent would not like to get checkmate. Well, some of the people I've played. You see all these pieces here? Is that protecting black's king?
No.
No. Usually, this piece is what? What's usually right there? A bishop. Is that a bishop? No. So Yasser's like, I have an idea. Let's checkmate our opponent. That's how you win at chess. So he gives up his knight on a4. He's like, I'm going to go here. I'm going to play knight g5, and I'm going to mate you. And the guy said, no talking. And the guy said, I'll take a free knight, thank you. And Yasser said, I'll checkmate you, thank you. Let's see who's right. Man, Yasser's like, take all my pieces, I'm going to mate you. Now this is mate, check, mate. So black should probably stop that. How is correct? Okay, he played f6, which you should never do. This is a very tricky move because after takes, it looks like queen h8 is mate.
No.
But it's not because of
Bishop.
bishop g8. Wow. That guy's not as bad as he plays. Okay. Yasser takes the bishop, and now queen h8 is mate. However, it's not white's move.
I know the move for black.
How do you stop queen h8 mate?
King e8. F takes bishop.
King e8, f takes g5. Those are good suggestions. He took a free piece. d5, confusing the audience.
That's
Yeah, Yasser's like, you got no defense. You can't run away. Knight c4, queen h8, rook check. Now, if Yasser didn't play d5, the guy would play king e6. But Yasser saw that, so he played d5, then he did these checks. And black played. There's one legal move, I figure you're good at that. Knight f5, right. Now, you guys are busy taking the knight, but the queen's hanging, so be careful. Check. You can't block with the knight's pinned. So he's moving on up. Yeah. And in this position, Yasser played a fantastic move. And people on the internet were like, wow. And so I put it on the engine, because I don't trust people on the internet. And the engine said, wow. The engine said, this is the greatest move ever. Now, you'll never, ever, ever find it, so I'll give you a hint. Then you'll find it. Well, Karen will. Maybe Archer. Maybe. Karen listens more than Archer does, but Archer's higher rated. All right. The hint is, what would Paul Morphy do? That's your hint.
Bring more pieces in.
Yeah, how would he do that? Archer. Rook e1. That's what you were going to play, right? Oh, he took the knight. I thought he played rook e1. Oh, now he played rook e1. All right. I was a move behind. Rook e1, that's the only winning move. Okay, there's this crazy line that goes check, takes, check, here, check, here, and the engine doesn't see a checkmate, although it analyzes pretty far ahead.
Wait, what happened to rook e1?
Well, he played rook e1, yeah. And the idea is, now it's checkmate. I mean, if your king's not running away because my rook is on e1. So, yeah, rook e1 says, aha, your king is here forever. So a cursory glance at knight takes, we have checkmate. See how the rook on e1 is stopping the king from moving away? Yeah.
Black had an extra move here.
What is black's move here?
Yeah.
But I'm going to play f takes g6, discovered check, and then queen f7 mate after knight takes rook. So that king's not good. There's good, there's not good. Yeah, rook e1. Now after f takes g6, I think the engine said white's slightly better. But after rook e1, it says like plus 800 trillion.
For
Yeah, for white, because black's king is in trouble. Okay, he played g4, attacking the rook again. So if I take discovered check, you can play pawn takes rook check, just like in the movies. Check, check. In real life, you don't see that, but in the movies you do. So check, see that's check, and then check. Confusing the audience.
No.
And Yasser just played HG, confusing the pawn structure specialists. Where'd those pawns start from? Nobody knows. You know what they do know? Black's king isn't safe. So the game's not over yet. What Yasser did was he had a good center. He won a pawn on the queen side. And when the guy tried to get counterplay on the queen side, Yasser decided to checkmate him because all the guy's pieces were on the queen side. And Yasser said, well, if all your pieces are on the queen side, I guess I'll checkmate you. And the guy said, no talking. Queen d7, and now the coup d'etat, right? No, nothing. That joke doesn't work because they never heard of coup d'etat, coup de grace. They never heard of nothing. Have you guys heard of anything? Kesha? Yeah.
Yeah.
You. G5. Roar. This is what we call Ben Finegold analysis. I'm going to tell you why. When I put my opponent in check and they have one legal move, I'm good at that. That's my specialty. Some of my students are like, how did you see 10 moves ahead? And I'm like, they had one legal move every move. And that's why. If they have 5 legal moves, then I don't see 10 moves ahead. What's Black's only legal move? You. Right, there were other answers people were going to say, but you said the right one. Yeah. And after this, White has mate in 1, which is good. Oh, bathroom's down the hall. You. With the wrong answer, I assume.
Queen takes G6?
Yes. Yes. Anyone want to high-five me?
Oh, I have.
No, you did good, because that was the wrong answer.
Oh,
The reason it's wrong is because the knight can take it.
I see.
Oh, bathroom's down the hall. So have a seat. Well, wait a minute. Are you still a broken clock? You.
Queen H4.
Hey, the clock was fixed. He's right 3 times a day. Queen H4, checkmate with advantage. Right. So after G5 check, Yasser's opponent resigned because mate next move. Robbing the audience of resignation. Now on the internet, over the last 10 years, people will say they should get rid of draw offers. You shouldn't be allowed to offer a draw. A lot of people believe that. And in some tournaments, you're not allowed. Okay, not in the US, but in some international tournaments. Hello?
Can you just repeat back and forth?
Yeah, but we don't want to talk about that.
Okay.
Okay. Now there are people, which is a minority of the people, they think you shouldn't be allowed to resign. And by the way, those people might be right. And the reason is, if you want people to be interested in your sport, people who don't play chess, and you want them to play chess. When somebody resigns, they're like, huh? I don't know how to play chess. Why do you give up? However, if the game concluded this way, it would say checkmate. Then they would be like, oh, you got checkmated. All right, that's how you win. You checkmate. A lot of people want to see checkmate. They don't want to see Grandmaster A resign against Grandmaster B because they don't know why. Now here's an example. On my stream last week, I was playing the highest rated player who wasn't me. His rating was about 30 points below mine. And he made a move on move like 17, and I took a pawn. When I took that pawn, he was losing another piece by force. So he would be down like a knight and a pawn or a bishop and a pawn. So he resigned. Everybody on my stream said, why did the guy resign? He only lost a pawn. Well, it was truly only lost a pawn. They didn't realize he was going to lose a knight because it hadn't happened yet. It was going to happen next move. He knew it was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen. But the people on the stream, they furrowed their brow in a vain attempt to understand the situation. Right, Oliver? And Oliver's like, what? Okay, he furrowed his brow to understand that joke. Okay, so after G5 check, both players see the mate. But if you don't see the mate, you're like, why did Black resign? Also, after this, probably Black should resign. Queen H4 is mate. So that was a pretty cool game. Yasser sacked all his pieces and mated the guy. That's not very typical of him. typically Yasser Seirawan is king around, confusing the audience. Yeah. So that was Yasser Seirawan. If you like Yasser Seirawan, you can watch him all the time on the internet. He does live commentary on Twitch and YouTube. And he'll be talking about games live. He'll say, in this position, White's winning. Then the engine will be like, nah, man, nah. You.
What if we don't like him?
If you don't like him, then you have to watch him anyway. Roar, man. This is Grandmaster Finegold, as opposed to National Master Finegold, with the Game of the Week the Games of the Century. It was a slow century. From last century, from great players of the past. Yasser Seirawan, Go America. If you like that video, what's wrong with you? Also, you should like and subscribe. Click those buttons, right? And go to our merch store. The more merch you buy, the more vacations to Italy we take. Bye!